Alright, so basically I've been super bored during this little quarantine thing that's been going on. So I have resulted to spending a lot of time watching crime shows on Netflix, specifically Criminal Minds. And if you don't know anything about Criminal Minds, they basically, like every episode, they spend trying to find serial killers. So I've been really interested in serial killers lately. So yeah, also everybody loves a good mystery, so I thought I would share an unsolved mystery. So the mystery I'm going to be talking about today is the Zodiac Killer, and he killed a bunch of different people in Northern California in 1968 and 1969. So there's also a big possibility that he killed a lot more people than the police know. So I just decided I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about the people he killed, how he killed them, stuff like that. And so the first two people he killed them at the same time. It was a couple. They were teenagers, David and his girlfriend Betty. They were 16 and 17, and he shot them to death by their car in a little valley in California, and that happened in December and then of 1968. And then a couple months later, in July the following year, he killed another couple, Darlene and Mike. They were 22 and 19, and he killed them the same way. He shot them to death, and it happened in like a similar location as the first murders. And then, so he continued to kill more people all throughout California. And so with the next killings he did it like a little differently. So usually serial killers stick to like the same way of doing things. They have like a pattern, and he didn't really. So he still killed a couple, but he tied them up and stabbed them, and one of them did end up surviving that stabbing, so they were able to provide a little bit of information to the police about him. So the Zodiac Killer, his thing was he would send an anonymous letter to newspaper editors, and he would basically be like, hello, this is the Zodiac Killer, I killed blah blah blah, and this is how I did it. So he would go super in depth on how he killed these people, so the police and everyone knew that this was the killer who's actually sending these letters, because only the killer could know these details that he knew. And so you could tell that he craved publicity. So when he would send these letters, he would tell the editor, like, if you don't print this on the front page of your newspaper, I'm gonna go kill another person. I'm gonna go hurt and murder a bunch of other people if you don't do it. So that he got what he wanted. He got the publicity, because obviously they weren't just gonna ignore it and let him go and kill other people. So each of his letters ended with a circle with a cross through it, and he also had that symbol on his shirt when he attempted to stab one of the victims, and so that is now known as his symbol. The Zodiac Killer's symbol. And he also included a cipher at the end of his letters. So one letter would have one part of the cipher, and so on and so forth. And the first letter, the cipher, a high school teacher figured it out, and it basically was him talking about how he loved killing people. He said he could kill animals, but it's not as fun as killing humans, because they are the ultimate animal. And so he added those ciphers to the end of each letter so the police could possibly figure out who he was. He kind of like made it a little game. And so obviously the police and the FBI spent like all their time trying to figure out who the serial killer was, why he was doing this, and stuff like that. And so while they're trying to figure out who the killer was, he would just like send more letters, basically saying like, hey, I killed another person, and taunting them that they couldn't find him and that he was better than them. So the police had fingerprint evidence. They had a description, like a picture of what he would look like from the victim who did make it from the stabbing. and the police would get tips all the time. They had clues, they had ciphers to help them figure out who this killer is. But they still struggled. They could not find him. They had no idea who he was. They couldn't find connections between all the murders. He was kind of just going around killing random people. And if you've seen Criminal Minds, I don't really know how accurate it is to like real life when they're looking for a serial killer, but that's basically how they find the killers. Like they find patterns and it leads to a certain person. This wasn't the case with the Zodiac killer, so they really didn't know where to go from there. And to also like to make sure that they really believed that he was serious about what he's doing. This is like the actual killer who's writing these letters. When he killed the taxi driver, he sent them his shirt with blood on it. So they knew that it belonged to the taxi driver who he killed, and they knew that he killed him. So he would keep giving them clues to like help find him, but obviously they couldn't find him, which would be rewarding to the killer and boost his ego and would make him want to go kill more. And so this killer continued to threaten to hurt other people and kept sending letters for years. Like every couple months he'd send another letter, try to help him find him, but not give them enough to really find them, obviously. And then he sent his last letter in 1974. So he sent his first one in 1968, his last one in 1974. So this went on for a long time, just like a big game between the police and him, where they just couldn't get close enough to find him. And so once he sent that last letter, he never sent another one again, and he didn't kill again. That they think that he was like the person who killed them. But the investigation never ended. They've never stopped looking for him or anything like that. So till this day, from 1974 to 2020, no one knows who the killer was, and he's gotten away with murder. Well, multiple murders, because every time he would confess, they would just have his confession, I know who he was, and they do know that he has tried to confess to a bunch of other crimes, but they're not 100% sure if he did it, so no one really knows who he was, why he did it, and how many people he actually ended up murdering.